Hi guys, I've been looking at Japan and I've been wondering if they should be trusted. World War II involved Japan, and obviously we know about Pearl Harbor and the two nuclear bombs that were dropped on Japan and how that led to the ending of the Second World War. The Second World War was actually um, officially ended on September the 2nd when Japan signed the surrender document, and that was September the 2nd, 1945. It's known as Victory over Japan Day or VJ Day. Japan has lowered its alert readiness system for North Korean missiles, and that makes me a little bit suspect of them because North Korea, according to the reports, are still developing their nuclear program. They're still working on their missiles and their submarines. They show no signs of moving towards denuclearization, yet Japan has lowered its readiness system. And I just wonder, in the event of North Korea actually launching a missile, if they ever do, how quickly would Japan be able to respond, and would they use this whole peace thing that's going on at the moment as an excuse as to why they couldn't intercept this missile? I just find it curious. The Asian Games are going on at the moment with North Korea and South Korea unified at those games like they were for the Winter Olympics, and it ends on September the 2nd. Once again, they're marching under the unified flag, which could have connections with the WW2 video here if we're looking at this. I think it's Sun Tzu or Sun marching out to these tanks under the white flag, interpreted a long time ago that represents a unified Korea. We started seeing the peace talks and everything like that, and it just spurred the emphasis on that analysis. We looked at the Winter Olympic Games. There was a lot of connections to something possibly happening at that time, but now I'm looking at September the 2nd in terms of something happening on the East Coast, possibly New York and Florida, and we've got these events like the end of World War, or the official end of World War II, the Asian Games ending on that day, North Korea, South Korea marching on the unified flag, and last year, September the 3rd, North Korea did their largest nuclear test, which I believe was a H-bomb, and it was September the 3rd for them at 1 second past midnight, but it was September the 2nd for the rest of us. So last year, September the 2nd is when they did their last nuclear test. Could that be a sign as to something that may be coming this year on September the 2nd? As I said, we look at the date and it literally translates to the second 9/11. The year before that, September 2016, North Korea did their nuclear test on September the 9th, and it was September the 9th for them and September the 9th for us. They did it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're 8.5 hours ahead of UTC time. So we find it curious that they did their test on the 9th of September and the 2nd of September, which obviously 9 and 2, you could look at that as 9/11. And obviously now we've got 2018, they've done no nuclear test, but they're still working towards their nuclear program. And they've got the Asian Games ending on September the 2nd, where they may have fireworks at the end, celebration, the closing ceremony, and then marching on the unified flag, which, again, could be exactly what we're seeing here. So a lot of things to watch out for September the 2nd. Obviously, there's all the other things to watch out for before that, including a possible eruption from fissure number 8 today at Kilauea. According to all the reports, there's build-up of gas and stuff like that coming out of fissure number 8. So the potential for pressure release today, or even possibly on the 23rd, when Hurricane Lane is traveling through the Hawaiian Islands, is there. So we'll keep an eye on it. The Korean War, this is where China kind of, I think, really took their hate towards the United States, and it's not helped when you have the Taiwanese president visiting the United States on the 19th of August, 2 days ago, and being received warmly. China has the one China policy, and they see Taiwan as a rogue state, so that just fuels even more on top of the trade war that's going on between them. And then you've got the flights in the South China Sea with us receiving recordings from the cockpit of the Chinese military telling the US Navy plane to leave immediately. Obviously that wasn't listened to, but you can see China has built up a bunch of islands in the South China Sea, and they're for no other reason but for military purposes. They obviously want islands to be able to land and take off from, to refuel, it's all moves towards war. So for people who think, oh, you know, it's never going to happen, we talk about it all the time. Yes, we do talk about it all the time, but the evidence is kind of right in front of your face. You don't put islands with military equipment on them for no reason. It's not just a deterrence. It's obviously for something that you've got planned for the future. Iran is working on an important Syria summit with Turkey and Russia. Turkey is obviously suffering right now under sanctions from the US. Their lira has taken quite a big hit, and Turkey is looking for other options, and they may find those options with Iran and Russia. They plan to host this tripartite summit on Syria in early September. They haven't given an exact date, but early September, that could be the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd. Who knows? If it comes on the 1st or the 2nd, that would be interesting that these three leaders are together, possibly on the date that a second 9/11 event takes place. Who knows? And that could involve North Korea if the signals of the Asian Games ending on September the 2nd, and the World War II ending officially on September the 2nd has any relevance. Really don't know. We'll see. But in relation to Hawaii, and more, I would say, more firmer evidence that Fisher number 8 is showing signs of trouble. A lot of you know this YouTuber, Dutchsinse, and he's talking about Kilauea here. This is in his latest video, published on the 20th of August. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Hope he doesn't mind.
Meanwhile, they're showing us empty craters and empty dead lava flows, while not showing us the interior portion of Kilauea where that yellow deposit was. Yellow equals sulfur, sulfur equals magma, magma equals heat, heat creating steam, magma, heat, steam, sulfur. Lack of earthquakes indicates magma coming back up inside, stabilizing the underside of the crater. And if you're starting to get spatter to come back outside, back out of Fissure 8, that would indicate new pressure being created inside of the magma chamber, would it not? And it could totally break out again. As new magma increases inside of the chamber, could get right back to the point where it broke first and break free again. Same spot and everything. But all that would do is buy you a rain check. That would just be putting off the inevitable, which is eventually it's going to come back up and fill inside and blow out. Now the sulfur and steam and excessive heat, that's now enough heat coming out to cause cloud formation above the crater, that an instant cloud formation indicating great amount of heat and a fair amount of particulate matter coming up that we just can't see, either dust or steam or something.
So I think that's, you know, he looks at it from a completely different perspective, geologically, and uses a lot more scientific programs to come up with his analysis. But it's essentially the same. An eruption from Fissure number 8, which I think could possibly happen today on the 21st of August. He doesn't go into like looking at dates in that respect, but you know, we're seeing those kind of signs. So possible eruption from Fissure number 8, and then obviously he went on to say that that's only delaying the inevitable. Magma would fill up in the chamber again, and a larger eruption would occur, which I've suggested could occur on the 23rd of August when Hurricane Lane is passing through the Hawaiian chain of islands. So there's a lot of YouTubers looking at these events that are happening in the world today from different perspectives, but you know, some of them are lining up with each other, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're accurate, but it does suggest that there's maybe something there. So you guys, with all that said, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.